and welcome to another episode of Reading Rural, y'all. Dr. Shay Parton here, coming at you today to talk about my personal reactions to the text. This is our third of our four-part series on Kekla Magoon's season of Styx Malone, and I'm excited to dig into it. So I guess first I'll just start off by saying that I really liked this book a lot. I think it's a really important book, and even though this book was in the YA section at Barnes & Noble, it felt a bit younger to me. I did enjoy it as an adult, and I think that it can appeal to older readers, but it felt really middle grades to me, which I think is great because there's not a ton of rural YA lit out there to begin with, and so in terms of the proportion to middle grades text, those are kind of hard to find too. So anyway, I think it's important that this text exists in that sort of age range and genre. This book does a lot of important things. And it really tackles some hefty issues like what it means to be racialized Black in a small town versus in the city, the experience of transience of the foster care system, what it means to be a family, what it means to be extraordinary. Like, these are not simple themes. They are big themes, but they're done and treated in such a way that I think really would connect to middle grades readers. Like I said, I think, as an adult, I also enjoyed reading it and it helped me think about things, but I think the way that it's written really speaks to sort of the heart of somebody in the middle grades. Like all the books here, Magoon's novel takes up dominant narratives associated with the city and the country, which I talked a little bit in the last video, and places them in conversation with one another through the characters' lived experiences. But I think this text in particular does so with a focus more on the living experiences without the characters speaking directly to how place has shaped those experiences in a way that other texts do. So, for example, though Caleb, who's our narrator, Caleb Franklin, although he often recounts what his dad has said about preferring the country to the city, he always seems confused about it, and there's never really any explicit discussion as to why that is. So because he's our narrator, there are no points in the text where he's breaking down and thinking about why his dad must feel that way. He seems always sort of confused by it. It never really makes sense to him, and I think maybe that might contribute to why it feels like middle grades. In Sadie and the Serpent King, there seems to be more detailed exploration or sort of a deep introspection on the part of the characters in those books about how place is connected to socioeconomic status, or how place deeply informs and shapes the experiences of characters. And that isn't present here, which isn't to say that this season of Styx Malone isn't as good as those books. It's just different. Like I said, I don't see this as a drawback necessarily. I think it opens up space for younger and older readers to consider these questions that Caleb is grappling with through their own experiences without as much influence from Caleb or Magoon. This is interesting to me because it offers readers the opportunity to do some really sophisticated thinking through their own experiences while making Caleb seem younger. And I'm still sort of thinking about how that works in terms of the way the story is built. But representation matters, and so I think that one of the most important aspects of this book is that it gives readers opportunities to engage with the fact that people of color exist and thrive and experience hardship and joy in rural spaces, that they sometimes want to stay and sometimes want to leave. And while the characters in this book are Black, there isn't a story of Black pain. It's a story of living life that exists at the intersections of Blackness and ruralness and kid-ness in a way that captures the everyday, showing how extraordinary that is from every angle. There's so much heart in this book, and I enjoyed it immensely. I bet you and your readers would too. So I hope you pick it up if you haven't already. That's it for today. See you next time. And y'all come back now, would ya?